Today I will be telling you why I think Iron Man 2 might just be the most realistic Marvel movie ever made. And I believe that for one simple detail that they chose to include in this movie. And no, I'm not talking about Mickey Rourke's amazing Russian accent.
Very good, man.
Very good, man.
Very good.
Instead, I'm talking about the rarely discussed but incredibly important side plot where Tony Stark, Iron Man, is slowly being poisoned by the very implant that's keeping him alive. For those unfamiliar with the story, here's a quick rundown of the plot. In the first movie, Tony Stark is involved in an explosion that requires him to have an electromagnet placed directly in his chest for movie plot reasons. He then makes a custom power source to power said electromagnet that he calls an arc reactor for movie plot reasons. But the important part we're talking about for Iron Man 2 is that this arc reactor uses palladium that is apparently degrading and turning his blood toxic, and that's stated that it's going to eventually lead to his death. However, he needs this to keep him alive due to those injuries he received in the first movie. And here's where the real genius of this film comes in, because this is a very real problem in the field of implantables. You see, Iron Man's arc reactor, as well as everything else inside his chest cavity, is what we in the medical device call an in vivo device. Vivo from the Latin word meaning live or be alive, and in from the Latin word meaning in. So a literal translation is to be in a living organism or in life. In vivo devices, like say a knee replacement or a glowing MacGuffin inside a Playboy billionaire's chest, need to be completely biocompatible. That means that every material and every object goes inside your body needs to be intensely studied to ensure that there's not going to be any sort of negative side effects associated with implanting that in your body. Now, what would happen if you put something in your body that wasn't completely biocompatible? Well, let's take lead for example, since we all know that lead plus body equals bad, not something we want in there. I actually found a white paper that researchers wrote examining lead poisoning from bullet fragments left untreated after a gunshot wound of all things. Apparently, as your natural bodily environment disintegrates the bullet's lead core, the lead is released in a soluble form. That soluble form more or less dissolves into your bodily fluids and enters your bloodstream. Once in the bloodstream, you have some real problems because it can bind to red blood cells and circulate to soft tissue, your nervous system, and even your skeleton. This leads to a very rare but complex issue of potential lead poisoning from gunshot wounds. I know, not exactly your biggest concern when you're shot with a gun. But we even see an aspect of this in Iron Man 2 in a scene where Tony takes a piece of palladium out of his chest that is significantly degraded. He then takes a blood test that conveniently displays how much palladium is entering his bloodstream. So how can Iron Man fix this problem? Well, by discovering a new element in his basement, of course. It's stated in the movie that no known element will work in the arc reactor besides palladium. If that were the case, it would certainly be feasible that you would need to fabricate or discover a new element or material that would both have the same material properties that's desired for the arc reactor as palladium while also being biocompatible. Now, building a particle accelerator in your basement to achieve this may be a little bit less realistic. Here's one big problem with the whole thing though, and that's that palladium is widely known to be biocompatible. They just missed the mark, and I don't know why, because they could have chosen any material since it's all fiction, or even made up one. That being said, if you were to not get the purest titanium, like say from some scrap metal in a desert cave, then yeah, that might cause some problems. In spite of everything, the fact that the MCU included the idea that one of the world's most powerful superheroes could be taken down by more or less medical malpractice is pretty damn cool in my opinion. See, Whiplash, you didn't have to work that hard.
Hey, Tony, before you go, palladium in the chest, painful way to die.